We recently got some great news about the League Battle Deck line of the Pokemon trading card game. Pre-made decks, competitive level decks, and we most recently learned that the Miraidon EX League Battle Deck is on the way this November 17th, and it'll cost $29.99 US. All of that is good news, but were we supposed to get more news than that? I'm Jeff from InThirdPerson.com. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's talk about the potential missing League Battle Deck. Now, up until now, the Pokemon Company have released 3 decks per year, 3 League Battle decks per year. Starting with 2020, they started with Pikachu and Zekrom, as well as Reshiram and Charizard. They announced them at the same time and released them at the same time. After that, then they revealed the Zacian ADP deck. So the way it usually works is that there's 2 drops each year, one in like the spring, one in the fall/winter. One of those drops has 1 deck, the other one has 2. So the spring one here had 2 decks, and then Zacian was 1, and they announced them together, right? So now we go to 2021, and the fall decks are now revealed, and it's the Urshifus. They put them together, and now we have 2 decks. They are out November 12th. They're out at the same time. And then in 2022, we got the Calyrex League Battle decks, and the Shadow Rider, Ice Rider. They were announced together, released at the same time. And earlier this year, we got the Palkia deck. And based on the pattern that it has gone, we got Palkia by itself, which means that based on past history, this time, like fall/winter of 2023, we should be expecting 2 decks. And instead, we only got 1, Miraidon EX. Are we expecting another one? Now, technically, it's not too late for them to announce a second one at a later time. However, I think that's unlikely. I feel like, based on past precedent, that if they were going to reveal 2 League Battle decks, they would have announced them at the same time. And one could argue that, well, maybe they split it up because Miraidon's being released with something that doesn't match thematically, right? So, for example, the Calyrex decks make a lot of sense to announce together because they're Calyrexes, and then the ones before that were Urshifus, and those are different types of, it's the same Pokemon. But the Pikachu, Zekrom, and Reshiram, Charizard, those are not like parallel in the same way that the Urshifus and the Calyrexes were. So if they were gonna release at the same time, I feel like we would have just gotten the announcement for Miraidon plus something else. And I don't know why we're not getting another deck, but I feel like this is gonna be it. I can take some guesses. I wonder if maybe with inflation, cost of shipping, maybe that's a factor. I think if I had to take a good guess, I think it's a combination of a couple of things. I think that, one, the insistence of pushing Miraidon now makes me think they really want to transition to the EX era of the Pokemon trading card game. And that makes a lot of sense because they kind of made this transition as well with the ADP deck. At this point in the transition from Sun and Moon to Sword and Shield, they put out a deck that had both tag teams and Pokemon V with Zacian and ADP, and they've kind of done the same thing here as well. But they can't... Oh man, I'm zooming in like crazy. But, like, is there another deck they could do that with? Or even, like, going beyond that, like, is there another EX deck they could put in this format that they could release this fall that would work? And I think the answer is actually no. And if we look at Limitless right now, and we look at the decks that are big right now, they're also bypassing certain archetypes that I think would have been amazing in a League Battle deck format. For example, Lost Box Giratina. This is a deck that I think would have been perfect in a League Battle deck format. And when I say League Battle deck format, I mean a deck that has 6 ultra rare cards or 6 holo cards in it, right? For example, the Giratina deck, you could have just gone 3 Giratina V, 3 Giratina V-Star, or gone with 5 Giratinas and then 1 Radiant Greninja, plus all this other stuff. That would have been perfect in a League Battle Deck format, and instead we didn't get that. We got an EX. I think they bypassed Giratina, despite how good this would have been, despite this surviving the next rotation. And one could argue like Battle VIP Pass is rotating, but Giratina is probably going to be strong regardless. And Battle VIP Pass is a card that would hurt everybody by rotating out. And I don't think that's the reason. We've got other archetypes here. Charizard. I think Charizard is destined to get a League Battle Deck, but I don't think it's for this fall. They usually wait a couple of months, 6 months to a year before they release a hot new card as a League Battle Deck. And I would be I think it is a safe assumption that we get a Charizard deck next year. But for right now, I don't think now is the right time. Gardevoir seems like it would be a great pick. However, and let me zoom in here so you can see these a little bigger. Gardevoir seems like a big pick, except most of its attackers are rotating soon. So let me zoom in here. The Shining Arcana Gardevoir and the Zacian rotate next year, which means that, or like at the next rotation. So you can't package this in a deck right now without any attackers. So that would be weird. So that's kind of off the table. And let's go back to the list and try and see. Chien-Pao Baxcalibur. This would have been amazing for a League Battle deck, but they've already released this as an EX1 deck, like a level 1 EX deck. And I don't think they would put out a level 1 and a level 3 of the same Pokemon. I think that just confuses people in the store. So that's out. Lost Box, there's basically not enough holo cards to fill that one out. We've already talked about Miraidon. Yeah, going down the list of like competitive decks and popularity, Miraidon is the first one. But of course, they picked Miraidon Regieleki because the Flaffy rotates soon, and that's why they didn't use that. Arceus Giratina, I think they're shying away from Pokemon V. This would have been okay-ish as a League Battle deck. Lugia, I think, was the next pick after Giratina, because whether you're doing... I think you could do the colorless build. This is the single strike one, so that's not going to work as well. But the colorless build with the Snorlaxes, the Weirdeer, I think would have been perfect in a League Battle deck format, and they chose not to, probably because they wanted to side with EXs. But if you say no EXs, then this becomes very thin. Like after Miraidon, like Chien-Pao, we've crossed that off. Miraidon, we've now crossed that off. Like what's left? We have to scroll all the way down. Meowscarada, they've already released as a level 2 deck, and Tinkaton they've already released as a level 1. Like, are we talking Ting-Lu at this point? And I love Ting-Lu, but it's certainly not the most competitive deck to play or build around right now. And maybe this would make more sense if Koraidon by itself was a little more of a viable card, but right now it's not really it. So yeah, I think my suspicion is that we're only getting one League Battle deck instead of the two that we normally would, based on the combination of Pokemon wanting to focus on EX Pokemon, and there just isn't another EX archetype that would work in a League Battle deck right now, based on, you know, the time sensitivities and also rotation in mind. I think Charizard is too soon, even though I think that's a lock. Gardevoir might get one someday, but we need to know what the new attackers are, and then they've already covered a bunch of the other potential contenders as level 1 decks, such as a Chien-Pao. So for anyone still holding out hope that there might be a second League Battle deck, I wouldn't. I would not hold out hope. Just focus on Miraidon. If that's something you want, that's great. And if it's not, then we'll hold out for something else next time. And again, I think the focus is EXs going forward. Yes, Giratina and Lugia would survive the next rotation, but I think that the V era of League Battle decks is officially over. Because if they were going to do it, it would be right now, and they would still have well over a year for like a Lugia and a Giratina to make it into this list, and they've chosen not to. So We are just getting the Miraidon this year. Only 2 League Battle decks in 2023, which is a little disappointing. I think the more the merrier. But at least we got 2 good ones. Palkia is very strong, and I do think that it's a little unexplored at the moment. It's a very strong deck with whether you play it as a support for Chen Pao or you play it as the primary attacker with Chen Pao as the support. There are some very cool combinations that can be done there. The Palkia focus build in particular, I think is very consistent and it's a ton of fun to play. And Miraidon is one of the strongest EXs in the game right now. At the time of this recording, in the Obsidian Flames format, it's one of the top decks. And yes, it's not the version that you're getting in the League Battle deck, but you're getting a lot of the pieces to build that. And I think the foundation of Miraidon plus the electric generators is going to be the backbone of Lightning decks for years to come. But what say you? Do you still think there's going to be another League Battle deck announced for 2023, or is it just Miraidon? And and I guess if you think it is just Miraidon, are you happy with the choice that Pokemon went here with Miraidon over something else? Let me know in the comments of this video. But for now, I got to get going. Thank you so much for watching. Some quick plugs before we get out of here. You can find me on all the things: YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram at @InThirdPerson. You can find me on Twitch at @InThirdPerson, where I stream the Pokemon trading card game every Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And check out the website, inthirdperson.com, for more articles and videos on video games, board games, and other nerdy pursuits. So until the next one, I'll see you later. Bye-bye.